In many respects, Lee Elia and Cookie Rojas are scapegoats, as all fired managers and coaches are scapegoats. How ironic, then, that they lost their jobs on what might be called the day of the scapegoat. September 23rd is the anniversary of the most controversial baseball game ever played, the day in 1908 when Fred Merkle became the scapegoat of scapegoats. A moment can tarnish a lifetime. Fred Merkle knew that. His moment came 80 years ago today on a busy Thursday afternoon in New York. In their dogfight for the pennant, the Giants and Cubs were tied 1-1 in the bottom of the ninth. 2 out, Harry McCormick of the Giants at third base. Fred Merkle, in his first game he ever started in the majors, at first. Batter Al Bridwell stroked a clean single up the middle to score McCormick and give the Giants the 2-1 win. Or so it seemed. For somewhere between first and second base came Fred Merkle's moment. In the custom of the time, the moment a game ended, the playing field flooded with fans. The players, naturally, would race from the field to avoid the crush. Fred Merkle was supposed to run from first to second base. That would make the play complete. That's what the rules said. But the rules were never enforced. For his own safety, Merkle veered off towards the Giants clubhouse in center field. What happened next has been debated for a solid 80 years now. The Cubs second baseman, Johnny Evers, who tried the same maneuver in another game 2 weeks before, got hold of a baseball somewhere. In the midst of the milling crowd, Evers tagged second base. He claimed Merkle had never gotten there. By rights, Merkle was forced out there. By rights, the inning was over. Amazingly, though the rule had never been enforced before, though neither umpire had seen the play, Ump Hank O'Day ruled hours later that Fred Merkle was out. Merkle claimed he had veered off towards the clubhouse, but upon hearing the commotion around second, he raced back to tag the bag before Evers did. He would even swear an affidavit to that fact. The umps didn't even question him. O'Day nullified the Giants' winning run, called the game a 1-1 tie. The next day, Merkle was vilified in the newspapers. And when the Cubs and Giants ended the season tied for first, and the pennant was to be decided by a replay of the Merkle game, and when the Giants lost, Fred Merkle became Bonehead. Bonehead he remained. His career lasted another 17 seasons. His life lasted another 48 years. Always Bonehead in the ballparks, on the streets, from his opponents, from his teammates. Bonehead. A moment can tarnish a lifetime. Joining us now here in the studio is Christy Mathewson, the great pitcher of the New York Giants from most of Fred Merkle's career. And you were there. Did he touch second base or did he not?
Well, he did. However, in all truthfulness, I've got to say that it didn't happen until much later when all the fans had actually left the ballpark. But the thing that people fail to remember about the whole incident is that Fred Merkle did nothing out of the ordinary that day. In fact, it had been in vogue all around the circuit all season to do what he did, which was just go directly from first base to the clubhouse because excuse me, anyone who has been to the Polo Grounds during that season would know that the quickest way for the fans to get out of the ballpark was to go through the gates in center field. And immediately following a ball game, the attendants, the ushers, would open the gates, fans would move on to the field, and all of us would go like the Dickens for the clubhouse to get away from the crowd. And the other thing that people fail to remember is that Rule 59, which Johnny Evers very well pointed out that day, which means that the run doesn't score if the last out of the inning is a force out or the runner's out at first. It had never, ever, ever been enforced, to my knowledge, ever in the history of the game in the home half of the ninth inning until that particular afternoon.
No, practically speaking, it's the players' health or safety is in jeopardy when 10,000 fans suddenly spill onto the field. But there was more to this story than even as we indicated in the report. The Giants went into a slump afterwards.
That's true.
I mean, you guys ran into Harry Kowaleski of the Phillies and lost. He was a rookie up from the somewhere.
Three games in 5 days.
Yeah.
People don't remember. Fred Merkle was not the reason why we lost the pennant in 1908. There were so many.
It's come down through history as if he was.
Right, and everything has been pinned on this 19-year-old kid's head. It was the first game he had ever started. Fred Tenney really deserved to be in hospital at that time. He was bandaged from the waist down, and Merkle moved in to play for him. Had all the tools, all the makings of another Mike Donlin or a Hannes Wagner. Very skilled kid, and because of this incident, it just has hung over him through the years, and he just can't seem to shake it.
The situation with him, as you're saying, not seem to shake it. How badly did it affect him? Was it a day-to-day thing, as I intimated earlier? Did he hear Bonehead and don't forget to touch second, Fred, and the rest of that?
Well, just in the last few weeks of the season there, I would guess he lost 20 pounds of flesh. He just worried. He didn't eat. He didn't sleep. He just stood in a corner over by the water cooler, wouldn't talk to anybody except to occasionally say, "It's all my fault, boys." Yeah. And it's just too bad, because Fred Merkle is one of the smartest players that I have ever come across in my career. He's the only person that I've been able to find who can give me a challenge in a chess game. And it's just a shame that he has been called dumb, boner, whatever, all through his career.
All right. Obviously, we must let everyone in on the, well, not too much of a secret. Our Christy Mathewson is Eddie Frierson, the baseball coach at Santa Monica High, and an accomplished actor who has a one-man show called Mathewson and does a wonderful job with it, a tremendous event. And Eddie came by to give us a little different perspective on the Fred Merkle incident 80 years ago. And I thank you for doing so, sir. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Keith.
All right. Good to see you, Eddie. Penny, Jim?
I venture to guess, Keith, that we are the only television station in the country with that story
With a live interview with Christy Mathewson, too, I would think.
He looks great for his age.
Yeah, and belated congratulations on your 350-plus big league wins.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.